boom, boom.
Hello everyone, my name is SwingPoynt and welcome to Resident Evil Resistance. This is the multiplayer game bundled with Resident Evil 3. And today I'm going to talk to you about an Annette build. And this build is so powerful, so strong, and it's actually broken. There's a problem with it. And the reason why I want to talk to you about it in this video is because I want people to know how to deal with it. I've been sitting on whether or not we should make a video about this for a long time, pretty much since this stuff came out for Annette. And I've been saying no, because I didn't want people to start using it, even though there's a problem with it. But I think we've reached the point now that Capcom's like, we're done with the game, that the best thing we can do is let them know about it, and then maybe it'll get addressed. And then furthermore, what we can do is show you guys how to deal with it, because it's insanely powerful. I was actually on downtown going against a team, and their collective level was like close to 500. They were all really good, and we were on downtown. And this build was so frustrating for them that they started quitting. So, again, I want to talk about how to beat it. I want to talk about what's going on with it, and I'm going to show you what it looks like in a match, and we'll start working from there, okay? And to start it off... Hello? Hello? Okay. Oh, I know. I know what else we got to talk about. We got to talk about today's sponsor, Flexispot. Flexispot offers height adjustable desks and desktop workstations. It makes it really easy to transition between sitting and standing. Makes it so you get a little bit more ergonomic feel to your body. And Flexispot was nice enough to send me a desk, and it's been great ever since. I was able to put it together in my room right here, and I know nothing about tools, but it was really easy to put together. And if you're a little confused, you can look up a YouTube tutorial. They offer desks that are affordable. You're not going to spend an arm and a leg to go ahead and get a sit-stand desk. And the range of the desks is actually pretty nice. It goes all the way down to 28 inches, and it goes all the way up to 48. And in case you're wondering how tall 48 inches is, I'm at 6 feet tall, and I have mine set to around 42 inches, and it's perfect. When I set it up to 48, I could hardly go over the top of it. So if you're like 6'6", it'll still work for you. The desk has been awesome for me so far. It allows me to switch it up during the middle of the day. I'm not just sitting here, literally just sitting here for 4 or 5, 6 hours at a time, editing or Twitch live streaming or recording videos. By being able to stand up, it's helped out my lower back a ton. I really feel like it's helping out my energy and my posture as well. Like sitting here talking to you guys like this, I feel like I have a lot of energy right now, and it's great. You get a little lethargic when you sit all day, and you get a little tight in your muscles. And let me tell you, man, you only get one body. So by being able to take care of yourself by mixing it up during the middle of the day, you're going to do yourself a lot of favors. So if you're interested, link will be in the video description to go check out Flexispot. Go check out their desks, go check out their risers, see if anything works for you. And we're actually going to continue the video while I'm standing up here like this, and we'll talk about this build that we have going on for Annette. So let's get into the content here. We're going to talk about what has been around for a while, which is V-Ambush Annette. And there's a reason why she's a problem, so let's talk about why she's a problem, and let's talk about what you do about it, and let's talk about, you know, why people seem to not be able to deal with her very well, okay? So let's go over the build, let's go over the equipment, and let's go over the deck, and then I'll show you what it looks like in a match. And actually, when I recorded that match, I wasn't live when I did it, so I'm actually going to talk over the match and let you guys know what I was thinking when I was playing Mastermind. That way you can kind of, you know, get a couple of pointers as Mastermind and try to understand what Annettes are doing when they're running this build, because if you understand that, it'll help you counter her. You know what I'm saying? So for the skills here, we have Fury on G Birkin because, I don't know, may as well. If you choose your Gherkin and it doesn't work out well, you can cancel him and then you get him back sooner. But now this is where it gets really interesting. You're going to run V-Act on her first passive, and you're going to run Ambush on her second. Now these two kind of fight with each other, which is a little bizarre, but let's talk about what they do. V-Act makes it so that buffed creatures no longer pretend to be dead, which I don't know why they pretend to be dead. They get up quickly after falling to the ground, and they become impossible to knock back before they're fully mobile again. So pretty much if they have a buff on them, when they're on the ground, you can't stop them when they're getting back up. You can't continuously knock them down. Ambush makes it so creatures stand up immediately after spawning, and they are invincible for a longer duration. This right here is the really bad broken part of V-Ambush Annette. So it's V-Act and Ambush, V-Ambush Annette. So part of what we're going to end up doing with this build is making it so that you have a buff immediately when you spawn. That way you're taking advantage of V-Act and Ambush together. The problem with Ambush, though, is that Usually when a zombie is invulnerable, it has a golden shimmer to it or an aura, whatever you want to call it. You can tell when something's invincible. There's like a golden tint to it. The problem with ambush right now is that golden tint wears off before ambush is actually done being effective, meaning that they look like they're not invincible anymore, but they're still invincible, which is extremely hard to deal with as a survivor. So they need to fix it. It's a problem. It's broken. And again, I've been sitting on this for what feels like a month and a half, 2 months, and they haven't done anything about it. So I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, I'm going to put the video out there and hope that somebody sees it and that they do something about it, because it's not like it's a secret anymore. It's not like people aren't using this kind of build. So my hope is to let Capcom know it's a problem, and my other hope is to teach people how to deal with it. And before we move on to the other parts of the skills and the deck and all that, something that's really funny is I think I might have a mix up in my head. I'm pretty sure that V-Act allows your creatures to stand up faster if you control them than if you run V-Act and Ambush together. Even though Ambush is supposed to make things go immediately, Ambush kind of fights with it a little bit, especially on things like dealers or, you know, pretty much any other specialty creature. They argue with each other. Now, I do think the invincibility you get with Ambush outweighs the little bit of extra time it takes to stand up. But if you're running a build where you're running, let's say, dealers, you want to stand up and pounce immediately, Ambush might get in your way a little bit. So something to consider, I guess, but that's more trivia than anything else, in my opinion. So let's move on to the other parts of the skills here. We're going to do Ambush, which, you know, there's a reason why they called it Ambush, right? We're going to run Ambush on Area 2 skill. Reason why we're running Ambush is because the whole point of this deck is boom, 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 boom. A lot of creatures, so many creatures that it gets to the point where it's hard to deal with them all. You're going to overwhelm them. You're going to ambush them. And then for Area 3, you know, admittedly, I haven't gotten to Area 3 with this deck yet because nobody makes it that far because it's ridiculous. But theory in my head, you have a few options here, and I was torn between Tough 2 and Liquor Region Aura. Based on how I've seen people respond to this build, I'm leaning Liquor Region Aura for a couple of reasons. One, your creatures are going to have Region, which will be cool. Two, much more importantly, is that you're already so overwhelmed by what's going on with all the creatures bumping around you. Now, if you go ahead and get to the point where you feel like you can handle all these creatures spawning up around you, a Liquor's going to mess that up because they're going to pounce at you and they're going to charge you. And they're kind of, you know, they're pretty strong. So I think, seeing as how they cost the same, I think a Liquor's going to do you more favors than Double Tuffy. Pick which one you want, but again, theory-wise, I would think a Liquor's going to disturb the survivors more than a Double Tuffy would, because you're already providing a similar type of pressure with the regular creatures in your deck. Okay? So let's move on to the equipment here. The equipment is going to be Bioenergy Tank 2, Fresh Blood 3, and then a couple of things to increase your bioenergy rate, meaning Miniature Reactor and Unstable Generator. Reason why we choose these things is that you're going to be trying to get a lot of creatures out. So the 2 energy boosters are going to make it so you can get more bioenergy. Right here, you got a bunch of options that you can choose, but I chose Bioenergy Tank 2 because there's going to be oftentimes the way that this deck is set up that you're going to be able to generate a surplus of bioenergy. And getting stuck at 10 bioenergy feels like a really big handicap for the way that this build works. I thought about putting, like, you know, a little bit thicker creatures in there, or maybe you want to put in a little bit more attack power to make it so your energy leech is more effective, because energy leech and attack power are tied together, very similar to how infection and attack power are tied together. But ultimately, I ended on Bioenergy Tank 2 because, again, it's about the ambush. It's about overwhelming really quickly in a small space. And if you're limited to 10 bioenergy, you're just not going to be as good at it. And, you know, Fresh Blood makes sense because you're going to want to get those bites in as soon as you can, too. Now let's move on to the meat and potatoes here, which is the deck. The deck. So it doesn't look that fancy, but there's a really big key element to it, which is this Viral Mod Energy Leech. So, again, we built this like the day after it came out. Literally like the day after it came out. I'm not even sure my Twitch VOD's still available. We did it so long ago. The whole point of how this works is if you run Viral Mod with V-Act, they synergize. So let's move on over to V-Act. It says buffed creatures no longer pretend to be dead. They get up quickly after falling to the ground, and they become impossible to knock back before they're fully mobile. So if you are running Viral Mod, your creature starts with a buff. It makes them more expensive, but they start with a buff. So what we're going to do is we're going to run Viral Mod Energy Leech so that the buff that they start with kind of offsets how they're all going to cost more bioenergy. And then on top of that, we're going to run Efficiency Mod Creatures because that also will help offset the increased cost of Viral Mod Energy Leech because it makes everything cheaper by 1. So if you take a look at the deck here, it's a bunch of cheap creatures because frankly, it doesn't matter if your creatures are strong because they're invincible. You don't take this approach of I want to have strong creatures that are hard to take down. That's a different type of Annette. That's not what we're playing today. The whole point of this one is too much going on all at the same time, too many targets, you overwhelm them. So they don't got to be strong, there just has to be a lot of them. So because of that theme, you'll notice we got a bunch of creatures in here. And then we also have a bunch of options in here that make it so we can either get more bioenergy or we can preserve bioenergy. So I don't know if I've done Reclamation Anchor in a video, but I know I've been using Reclamation Anchor on streams. We stream every night, twitch.tv/SwingPoynt. I would love to see you guys over there. Link is also in the description for that. Reclamation Anchor is something that you throw onto your creatures and it makes it so that if that creature dies, you get bioenergy back for it dying. Any creature that has the anchor attached to it will provide bioenergy back to you if it's killed by the survivors. So this is really helpful if you got a whole room of creatures as a net and then Martin comes in, you know, flashy things them, and then they throw grenades in. Or if Jill comes in with her freaking rockets and obliterates your room. It makes it so you get your bioenergy back, which is huge on a net. It allows her to keep going and going and going and going. And considering the whole point of this deck is high tempo and high speed and a lot of creatures you never let up, Reclamation Anchor is awesome. Some of you might be like, well, just shoot out the Reclamation Anchor, man. It's not that big a deal. First off, a lot of people just aren't going to do that. Second, by doing that, by forcing them to shoot out the anchor to prevent this from happening, you force them in a bad position. They have to go through your horde. They have to compromise where they're at in order to prevent this from happening. So really, it's a win-win, especially since it only costs 1 bioenergy. There is very little reason not to be running Reclamation Anchor on this type of build. We also have discount on the bottom just to reduce the cost of things because discount is useful after what, 2 cards, and then you start seeing the net benefit of it. So again, the way this deck works is you'd use discount and then you go boom, 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 and you get like 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 creatures out, and you easily are making up your bioenergy. Or let's say you want to go ahead and use your electromagnetic shield. Reason why we have the shield in this deck is because the way you would counter this is you don't let Annette see you. That's the counter. That's how you deal with it. There's more to how you counter it, but the main thing that a really good team is going to do is they're just going to shoot you out. Because the way invulnerability works with ambush is that it's timed. So you have to do it in a timely manner. You can't put your creatures on the other side of a door and then benefit from ambush because it'll wear off by then. You need to be able to have direct line of sight on these survivors and then put creatures all around them. If your camera's gone, you can't do that. So a good team's going to attack your cameras, which is why we have to have the electromagnetic shield. Pretty much makes it so they can't do anything to you. So now I want to show you what this looks like in a match, and I actually recorded this one offline, so I'm not going to be talking while I'm playing the match. Usually I'd be doing this on twitch.tv/SwingPoynt, but what my initial idea was to just play it during the background of me explaining the build. But since we ended up going against what is typically a really good team on downtown, that's like the worst case scenario for Annette, and we were able to just do really well against them. So I want to talk through what I was thinking during that match and then show you what frustrated them to the point of where they quit. And then we can, again, kind of understand why Annette works the way that she does, okay? So let's get into the match here. So I'm going to be in the top right-hand corner over here, and then past me is going to be going up against this team here. Look how pissed I look. So the whole point of this is to kind of dissect what it is to go against a good team when the odds are stacked against you. This is on downtown. It's a high-ranked team, and they get a bunch of stuff going their way early. So to kind of give you an idea of what I'm thinking early is initially, I'm looking at the team on the left before the game's even loaded in. A lot of times, one of the most intense parts of the game for me is the loading screen because I don't know what I'm going up against yet, but you're kind of getting intel based off of, frankly, their levels and the cosmetics they're wearing. If you see somebody who's a lower level, usually usually, I know rank doesn't matter, SwingPoynt, usually it's a sign that you can pick on that person, and then that'll make it so the rest of the team gets dragged down with them. But we didn't get that here. In fact, what I'm seeing here is a bunch of high levels together, which also kind of tells me that there's a chance that they could be a team. And when they are a team, they'll tend to act like a team, meaning that they're going to do things that I can take advantage of. Like they're probably going to pounce on my cameras. They're probably going to be a little more dodgy with my creatures. They're probably going to stick together a little bit more. Stuff like that can allow you to still take advantage of the circumstance you have in front of you. Another thing you might see is they might objective rush or try to split up. You can try to take advantage of that. So sorry for the big intro here, but I'm just trying to like guide you through what I think. Also, if you guys, I never thought about this, but if you guys would like to show me matches that you do and I go ahead and dissect what you do, that might be fun videos. You let me know. But let's get started here.
This isn't personal.
So immediately we're on downtown and this is my hand. So first thing I'm thinking here is I don't have Viral Mod yet, so I can't use V-Act yet. So I have to cycle my deck in a way where I'm going to get Viral Mod so I can start using the whole strategy of my deck. You start with 4 bioenergy, and I know I'm going to be getting bioenergy because of my equipment. So I'm going to do initially to resist them is I'm going to put creatures right here, and then just keep going until I can get some Viral Mod card going here.
Need to expunge your existence.
I lock that door because I always want getting out of the trouble to be hard. And now I'm just putting creatures down because I'm trying to get my Viral Mod in there. Now I got my Viral Mod, and because I have nothing else in my deck that I want to spend, I'm going to go ahead and use my Reclamation Anchor. I don't want to waste my shield early because I got a feeling it's coming because it's a high rank team. They're going to be all over my cameras. So I'm going to use Reclamation Anchor here and then go on the other side of the door so I can start attacking them because these dudes, they're screwed. They're going to get killed no matter what because they're not going to have any invulnerability on them. So I'm going to put them here, put a Reclamation Anchor on them, and then start attacking from the backside. And you'll see that. And put that down. And now I got a creature so I can start using it. And I put it right on his feet. And now you see this is right there. I just learned everything I need to know about this team in that instant. A few things happened all right there. First off, I put a creature underneath them, which means that they know what's going on with my build. They understand it. As soon as I put that creature down, Jan went to attack my cameras. So that means that she's going to be all over me. On top of that, Jill started attacking my cameras in the bottom right-hand corner. You can't see her, but you could hear her. So that means I'm going to have a team that's focused on cameras. I'm going to have a Jan that prioritizes cameras over creatures. And then Sam's going to be a little dodgy with the creatures, trying to make sure he doesn't get bit. So Sam knows what he's doing, and he tried to back up so he could get a stun in with his punch. So I just learned a lot about how these guys are going to play. So with that, let's move forward and try to get our strategy in. I use my shield to prevent Jan from doing anything. And then I got creatures on the other side of the door for him to run into. Now he backs up, and since they're backing up, I'm going to go ahead and put that creature on Jan because she was staring at me, waiting to go after my camera, which is why I put the creature underneath Jan. And then really it's just going to be maintenance here. Now I actually messed up and used my discount there. What I did find out there is that Jan's running high cal. You can find out really early what type of Jan you're going against based off of how she attacks her cam. I'm really unlucky that she got a shotgun immediately in area 1. But what I found out there, she has high cal. She's not running anti-armament. She's not running one-shot Jan. Really, that is the worst case scenario for me because I'd prefer her to be anti-armament because I'm not running any guns. But it's a high cal Jan and she already has a shotgun. So now it's just kind of playing door games with him a little bit if I can. Slow him down. Well, I got lucky that he went in for the bite right away. I had some invulnerability going. I didn't get off my camera fast enough. And now I have a Reclamation Anchor, and they're getting taken out, so I'm going to try to shoot over there to get a little bit of energy back. Yeah. And by controlling a creature, I force her to attack me. And now this is what I meant about them knowing what they're doing. Jill knows that the team's going to take care of those creatures, and there's no point in her sticking around, so she's pushing forward to get an objective done. I figured she was going to do that because they do that a lot on downtown. So I went ahead and pushed forward to go ahead and get a creature here right away because it usually takes at least 2 hits for her to get in. I want to put a creature down right away, and since I'm running V-Act and Ambush, it'll come up real quick. So I'm probably going to get the bite off. There it is. So you time it out so the bite goes in there perfect. And then I get another creature in there for reassurance, lock the door so they can't help her. And then that way I can get some more swipes in with this guy, but I think I actually miss. Yeah. And Sam's coming in with the stuns. He's going to be doing that all game. Sometimes, if nothing else, just by controlling a creature, you force them to pay attention to you. You're not necessarily going to get swipes in on them, but you force them to pay attention to you. and to use up a little bit more
Step they
resources.
take brings you closer
I did the
to
same
death.
thing with timing the door, trying to get a bite off here. I don't think I get it though. He lunges and he misses, yeah.
Danger.
Use my shield to go ahead and get
These creatures should never have been
Jan off my back. And I just chase him around a little bit. Jill kind of messes up here and lets me get a few extra swipes in. And then I think another creature gets a bite in because she messes up. Yeah, I don't know what she was doing. Being a Jill player, that's what she was doing. Let's just be real here. That's just what Jill players do. They just tear the team down, okay?
I'm surprised you made it so far.
She's only ranked 214. She's just getting started as a Jill. So right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock the door because I never want to give them a free access into the next area. But because Annette doesn't have any, really nice tricks up her sleeve, at least not with this build, going into area 2 of downtown, I just kind of wait it out and build up bioenergy because, again, this whole thing is about pouncing underneath their feet. What you're really going to see here, though, is that you're going to see the wrath of Jan. She's running high cal and instant. She's basically geared for going after Annette. And you're going to see the other players attack, too. So really what I'm going to start doing is try to just slow them down, preoccupy them. You can tell that they're working together as a team and they don't want to split up. So because of that, they're going to go a little bit slower sometimes, and you can go ahead and force situations to happen. A lot of solo queue teams, they'd run right through the door, and that would actually be worse for me. But you're going to see that they slow down here, and I can pounce on top of them. My preset has lickers, which is going to be pressure when they do bust through the door. I go to this camera in particular. Sucks that she's using her skill increase there. But again, she's like basically anti-Annette as a Jan. I'm in this camera because this camera is harder to attack from a distance than the camera in the other corner is. The only way you can really attack this camera from a distance is if you're Jan and you're like behind the bookcases or the storage cases. It's a really good way to take out Spencer's invulnerability anchor, by the way. If you have Jan, you can kind of sit back towards the spawn and attack this camera with her instant. But I don't think she's that clever. She's good, but I don't think she's that clever. And what I actually did there, I guess I was like really on top of it. What I did there was that there's those two cameras there, and I know Jan's all over me. Like I could just tell this is going to be a high ranked team. So I flipped to this camera because I didn't want her staring at my cameras and then feeling like she could run right through into the next doorway. If she would have attacked one of my cameras right away or started attacking the cams, they would have been more encouraged to go through the doorway right away. So I went off into a random camera, waited until her EMP wore off, and then I'm going to go back in there and start attacking because it wasn't advantageous for me to be in there and then just, get my camera taken out for no good reason. So I'm going to wait for this to wear off, and then I'm going to switch back. See?
Even as you fight.
And then Jan's coming in right away, so I flipped off again. And then I'm just going to try to put creatures down. She might get me early. Yeah. So both my cameras are down, so I'm going to go back to the camera she took out first so I can get back attacking them first. And then I think let's just get to it, huh? Start putting stuff all around them. Try to pressure them into that corner because they're backing up a little bit. Jan's going to attack me, so I'm going to flip off again. I'm not going to use my reclamation anchor because Jan's waiting for me. So I'm just going to keep trying to put ambush on them and just push the girls back into the corner that already went backwards. Got some bites off in already. Now I'm using reclamation anchor because I still have a little bit of a shield and they might take out my creatures. Not to mention Jan's already pushed forward, so she's not going to take out the camera. And then sure enough, Sam comes in to clear it out. Now my lickers are probably already attacking. Yeah, they're already attacking and these guys are split up a little bit. So then I want to start putting creatures in between them to keep them more split up. Jill ran forward again, so I'm going to go ahead and push her with my creatures behind her, and they actually got a bite off because of fresh blood and ambush working together. And I'm going to lock the door, I think. Yeah, to keep that pressure going. I put the reclamation anchor in, yeah, because Jill has her rockets going, and that might be some free energy, but I actually went out the doorway anyway. And again, you just keep putting the pressure on. Val's by herself, so I'm trying to separate her a little bit. But that being said, they've already won this room. I don't know what Jill was doing. She ran off, must have thinking there was a terminal over there. And right here's a big deal. So doors are your best friend when you're a mastermind. Yep, you love doors. They do so much for you when you run creature builds. So again, trying to time out them busting through the door. Because of the way this build works, and your creatures stand up real fast and they're invincible for a bit, you always want to try to attack from two sides. Especially if you have a Jan who's being cheeky, just staring at your cameras and not really doing a whole lot to creatures. you can attack her because she's just standing there. So what we're going to do here is we're going to put creatures on this side, and I'm going to try to, I think, if I remember, I'm going to flip on over to the other side and try to pressure them from that side. And I think I just got Gherkin, so that's going to apply even more pressure to them.
I'll get this down.
They're probably going to attack my cameras, which is, again, why I have that shield in there. This build is really good at preventing terminals from getting completed because ambush bites so quickly. I put my reclamation anchor on. I know that I'm already lost in that area, so I'm going to put some more creatures around Jan, and then I'm going to use Gherkin. Again, pressure from both sides. Make it tough on them.
William.
Go after Jan, you dick!
And then I shall also
And now I just saw Jill run, so I twisted around to hit her with my impact slam. And now I'm just trying to pressure Sam and Val. Most importantly, Val, because she's going to try to heal them. I whiff on my first grab on her. She's getting bit, though. She's super hurt. Smart for them to close the door behind them, because I was about to take a swing at her.
now it is sealed.
And boom, zombie grabs her. And then since the zombie grabs her, I can grab her. And I'm pretty sure she DCs after. Oh, she DC. She quit because she got mad. It's frustrating to go against. And I guess if you're a high ranked team and you're used to winning, maybe you get pissed off when you start losing. I don't know. But then Jill DCs after that too. They weren't lagging or anything. You can tell when they lag. Oh, you babies. So they just quit, and then really from that point on, there's not a whole lot they could do. What you'll see is they try to hold it off a little bit, and Jan stays aggressive. And they could have held off a little bit better, but you know, keep in mind, I had 2 of them down. Again, keep this in mind. They have 2 minutes right now. Even though those 2 quit, if they would have stayed around, they would have lost a minute, and they'd be on a minute right now. And if they would have tried saving each other, I could have gotten 2 more of them down. So then they'd be out of time anyway, and they'd be rushed the whole time. They were already backed up, and it wasn't going to get any easier for them. So maybe they could have turned it around, but they probably weren't going to turn it around. So at this point, I just finished them off because they're high levels. They're used to stomping on masterminds and making the lives miserable. So you know what? Take that, survivors. But see that right there? Sam's even attacking my cameras with a shotgun. This team knew what they were doing, but they got salty and they lost. So we can just watch it out for the rest of this. Have a good time. I think I'd get rid of generator mod because you're already making enough bioenergy as it is. You don't need to keep it. I pressure up that side of the door. I already have my shield over here, and I put another shield down, and then we just put that immediately under Jan, and it's going to bite her. They're not going to get away. But you see how they're pressured on both sides of the door? Now they're both bit. Got reclamation anchors going. Got some extra swipes going. And that's going to be the game. They're not going to be able to move. Jan might go after my cam. Nope. She goes after me, and I bite her. So yeah, game over. They can't win through that. Too much. I think another one DCs after this, too. I think the Jan quits. It's pretty funny. Now, I had other complete matches of this, but they were getting stomped in like area 1. It was like a 2-minute match, so there wasn't really a whole lot to talk about. Not to mention, I really wanted to talk about this team because this team, I guarantee you, or this kind of team, wins the vast majority of their matches. Just by the way that they were playing and the way that they were being aggressive towards me, they're going to stomp out a lot of masterminds. So I just wanted to talk through what I was doing, what was going on, and how to deal with it. And I feel like that's probably way more helpful than showing you a match where, you know, they all stay in the match the whole time and then they lose. Like, that's just a formality. I think it's way more beneficial for you guys to see how it all comes together and understand what I was doing against a higher ranked team. So how do you counter this? There's a couple of ways to counter it. But you got to be working together and y'all got to be on the same page. Even if they fix the part of ambush that is broken where it's like you can't see if they're still invincible, this is still going to be a really hard thing to deal with. So you gotta understand the bigger picture of what's going on. One way is you attack cameras. Now, if you go up against a good mastermind, they're going to know how to keep attacking you on different angles, but you got to be on cameras. Everybody's got to attack cameras. You saw in this match that it didn't really matter that they were, but you still got to do it. If you're going up against a mastermind who's still trying to figure out the game, it's going to be an ace in the hole for you. The more important part on how to counter this is you got to make her run out of energy. And she will if you don't give her an opportunity. So that means not grouping up, and that means getting away from the horde. Now, she's going to try to put stuff right underneath you, and they can bite real quickly with fresh blood, but you need to be vigilant as to what's going on around you. Where I see people lose the hardest is when they're trying to bust through a door and 3 of them are sitting on a door, and then the mastermind knows how to play door games, and then they just start swiping and they get a bunch of free energy. They can get a bunch of free energy because they're hitting 2 or 3 people at a time. Another way I see people lose is that they just stand still and try to kill everything. You need to keep moving. It's going to be one of those things where back up, shoot them in the legs, back up, shoot them in the legs. Use your shotguns to get that knockback going, but you have to go ahead and make sure that you're not getting swarmed. So it takes a lot of situational awareness. That's the way you counter it. You attack the cameras, you don't group up, and you know what's going on around you. That can be tough to do, but it's definitely how you win against this Annette. We stream every single night on Twitch. I would love to see you guys over there. If you have any questions about the game, I'd love to answer them for you. Thank you to you guys for being here, and also thank you to our sponsor, Flexispot, for sending me this desk and sponsoring this video. Again, if you want to check them out, they're in the video description. And with that, that's the end of the video. So again, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next video that we do around here.